every Saturday, and today is going to be a Azure platform Saturday, and I'm so excited to present in this one. And I also thank everyone who's joining today in your weekend, and that shows your interest and how much you're willing to learn stuff. So let me try my best to do whatever I can. So yeah, myself, you can see here, myself Jeevarajan Kumar, people will call me Jeeva, and I'm also a Microsoft Business Application MVP, and these are my Twitter handles, and this is my blog, and you can also follow, add me to your network in LinkedIn, and it's going to be Jeevarajan Kumar, my complete name. Okay, without further ado, so today we'll be seeing, this is going to be a beginner level session where I know most of you already should be, or I assume that most of you know things in Azure, but here what we're going to do is we're going to focus on how the Azure Data Lake storage can be leveraged in the CDS environment. Okay, so before that, Stefano, if somebody asks any question, please let me know. I'll try to answer that at the end of the session. All right. Okay, so we'll just see what the introduction about what are we going to look at it. So the data lake services that is offered by Azure, as most of you know, it's a data storage service, and it has more advantages than compared to data lake generation 1, because it has both object storage as well as the hierarchical storage. So when it comes to CDS, CDS is a Power Platform data layer that has been where the Power Platform has been built on, and first-party model-driven apps is being built on if you purchase the Dynamics 365, and also if you want to build any Canvas model-driven app, you will be using the CDS as one of the data storage. And with being said that, if you have had a chance to notice the architecture of the CDS, you can see that Microsoft itself is using Azure Data Storage, Azure Data Lake Generation 2 as the backend storage. So what we are going to see today is how Microsoft is giving us the provision to frequently take the snapshots of data, from our CDS environment and constantly push that into the Azure Data Lake storage. Okay, so why we need to do that? Let's see shortly. So as you can see here, so when you go for enterprise level applications where they want to democratize their data, because they don't want their core system, that is your CDS database, to be disturbed. Okay, so what happens in those cases, it is highly recommended, and it makes massive change, or improve in the performance when you do that in the when you export the data continuously, or let's say frequently, in the data lake. Okay, and what you can do with that data is you can run your Power BI analytics, or Azure ML, or even other services like Databricks on that. So what happens is your main data source that's going to be, which is a CDS, is going to keep constantly the snapshots of data from here is going to be constantly taken and stored in the data lake, and from here your consumers, basically your customers, can have all these different services on top of the Azure Data Lake. And another cool thing about this is this also works at the CDM. It follows the CDM, right, common data model. So where your data has been structured in the CDM. So whenever the services fetches the data from the Azure Data Lake, it doesn't need to directly touch the CDS in such a way that your core data is not disturbed. So these are the features, the basic features that that has in the Azure Data Lake. So as I said earlier, it has ability to link your common data service environment to your data lake. And the interface is quite simple. It's not complex at all. We'll see that shortly when we see the demo. And also you can also run the analytics on the operational entities, like whatever entities that we have in our CDS can be used for that. And in fact, metadata also can be published from the CDS environment to this one. and of course standard support for standard and custom entities, and it supports create. When you create something here in the CDS, it gets pushed to the data lake, and when you do updates, it's going to get updated in the data lake as well. And if you delete something, it's going to be deleted, obviously. And this is what we are talking about: the continuous snapshots or updates of large, scenarios that goes into this one. And it's a push-based services, so which means if the consumer doesn't need to pull anything from the CDS, so CDS will automatically push the updates to the Azure Data Lake storage. So consumer, whenever the services like Power BI or Azure ML can just take the whichever snapshot they wanted to read it from, so they'll be reading from that specific data. And of course the partitioning. So when we do we'll see shortly how the partitioning works here. So what happens is, the data will be renamed with the specific date and time whenever the data has been taken as a snapshot, and that will be given to the that will be stored as a partition here in the data storage. And so there are prerequisites that needs to be set to establish this feature. I mean, establish the connection between the CDS and the Azure Data Lake storage. The first prerequisite is Azure Storage account. So that's Azure Storage version 2 account, to be precise. So we will shortly see how to create them, just for people who are not aware of that. And once you have the storage account, there are certain things that you need to be sure that you have to enable hierarchical namespace for the storage account, which will be making it as a data lake, which will be provisioning data lake services. Okay, and also the key thing is the storage account, the Azure tenant that whichever you are creating should be in the same tenant as your Power Apps tenant. Okay, the CDS environment, CDS tenant, and also the region should be similar. I'll show you what happens when you choose a different region. It's going to throw an error. Another thing is you have to be a common data service administrator to link the common data service and the Azure Data Lake storage. And another key thing to be noticed here is the entities inside the CDS should have change tracking enabled. Only those entities that have the change tracking enabled will be shown in the data lake storage window, where we will be selecting the entity to push to the data lake storage. Okay, so that's all with respect to the slides. So we're going to see demos from now on. So let's pray that demo gods will be with us and they're not bothered much. All right, so let me quickly open my browser. Okay. So let's just do the prerequisite first. I'll just show you. All right. So once you have once you land up in the Azure portal, so first you just, if you have a resource group, just use the resource group. If you don't have one, you can create one, and then first thing is you just create a storage account. Okay. So before that, let me just quickly show what I have done earlier, and then I'll show you how I achieved that one. So if you see here, once I set up the data lake, this is how it's going to look like. So currently, I have just selected account and lead to be constantly, to be pushed to the data lake for my whatever the reasons could be. Could be analytics or reporting. I mean, reporting or machine language, whatever they want to run, the separate thing, they can do that in my organization, right? So for that, you can see that the account and lead has been created here. It's been synced to the data lake. So how this looks in the data lake in Azure is, if I open my storage account, you can see. So it's going to be renamed like this. You see common data service and then my organization name and the ID. Okay, so you can see there is there are two folders, excuse me, created for lead and account. Okay, so you can see if I go to the lead, this is going to be like like a parent sheet, the CSV, and then you will see the data stone will be here, and you can see the snapshots which should be taken continuously here. You can see there was one taken. Currently, the default is hour. For each hour, it takes the snapshot. So you can see it's 12:21, and now this taken for 12:21. This is Singapore time, by the way. So this is going to be the main sheet. So what happens is when you add or modify a record in the lead, the new record is going to be updated here, and the snapshot of this one is going to be taken and stored here. Okay, we'll see that shortly. I'm just showing you how the structure looks like. So you can see the interface is pretty simple. So anybody can just establish that with the citizen developer. You can just establish a connection, and you can see how the data has been stored here, and same applies for account as well. Okay. All right. And this is how it's going to look in the Azure. And if I now let me quickly show you. So let's say we go to lead, and let me open this one. So you can see that there are 11 leads right now. Okay, and these are the leads we have here. So what I'm going to do is this, and I'll just go and add a new lead in my model-driven app, in my Power App. Okay, so let me quickly. You can see now there are only there are 11 leads right now. So if I go and select one, it's 20 errors, so he wants a eco-friendly lightsaber. Okay. Just whatever data it is, fine. So let me quickly save this one. So if I go back to my, you can see those 11. So where it is. Yeah, you see now it's 12. So which means the data has been pushed to data lake. If we go to the data lake here, and let me refresh this. So you can see the time has been updated now. And if I open this one, you can see E over here. Yeah. So the new record is added here, right? So the new lead, and now its title, whatever it is. So you can see it's 12 records now. Yeah, 12 records. Okay, so let me close this one, and if you open the snapshot, now you can see you will be having the previous data that without the new lead that we added. So in this way, you see here it's going to have 10, 11 records. Okay. So in this way, what happens is the system is smart enough to keep pushing the snapshots into the Azure. So we'll see the architecture, what happens behind the screen. That is called trickle feed service, which comes with the data lake provision from CDS, and that will do that. And apart from it, if you notice, there is one thing called model JSON. Okay, so this is like a metadata. So if I quickly from this. So you can see here. So currently we have account in lead, right? You can see the entities has been structured as such here, and then One is account, another one is the lead, right? So you have two entities, and this information, it's it's attributes, whatever the attributes we are being published from the CDS to the data lake storage, it's there, and also you can see the partition how it's done, the name, and then the format, and the this thing. So that's what you are seeing there in your data lake. Okay, this one. Okay, and then yeah, so this is what how it works. But let me show you how we have done this, how we have come up to this stage to achieve this. So first and foremost thing is, if you have seen the prerequisites line, so it's going to be the setting up the storage account. Okay, so if you do not have any resource group, kindly create a resource group, or if you can also directly go and create a new storage account directly. All right. So let me create a new storage account, or it's straightforward. If you want, let me just show you. So you basically create you choose a resource group, and then you choose a storage account, right? And then this is the one I was telling you. So you have to be a storage version 2. And if you go to the advanced tab, this is what makes if you have to enable this to get the hierarchical namespace from the data lake storage. Once you do that, it's going to create the storage account. Okay, it might take 2 or 3 minutes. So let me just quickly do that. Oh, sorry. Let me. So the other thing is, if you notice, the region should be same. So my CDS environment is in the East US. So let me choose the East US. And then enable this one. And now I can create this. You can see this is creating. Meanwhile, what we'll do is let me unlink the data. Okay. Then we'll try it from the beginning. But I'll just show you one more thing before unlinking data. So this is how it is. Like it doesn't need to be like you have to select the entities while linking the data. You can also create the select the entities. You can keep adding and removing entities based on your requirement. So for example, if I want to add contact, I can do that now. So what it does is, it will create a, just add your contact as well. So it take a couple of seconds, few seconds to refresh this, to send the data to you can see the 151 contacts that I have will be now pushed to the data lake storage. Okay. So if I go back to my previous storage, which is Power Demo. You can see that here now the contact is created. Okay. So this is what happens is, when you do first time, you create the first set of data. Then you keep applying for the changes. Then you are now have the snapshots accordingly. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let me go and unlink the data. Okay. One more thing. It doesn't need to. You can also choose your entity from here, or also you can choose entity from your entities window as well. So let's say I want to add appointment. You see, it will just ask you the configure data. If I do that, the appointment will also get into the data lake. Or you want, you can select new, which is going to redirect you to this same window. Okay, let us start from the beginning. So we already created the storage account just now. Let us go ahead and remove this already configured data lake, and let's see how we need to set up a new data lake. I think it's now. I don't need to remove this anyways. So if I choose this is the new one. This is let me see whether it is completed. Yeah, it's completed. So yeah, this is a new one. If you remember, I told that your environment location is East US, and I have to storage account should be one of this location. What happens if I choose any other location? You're going to know. It's going to throw error. Currently, the system doesn't allow you to select basically the environment, your CDS environment, your storage account should be in the same region. Okay, so oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, and then yeah, this is one thing. So if I go ahead and choose the new environment, so here we can choose the entity. Let's say that I will just assign and then maybe work order this time. Why it happens, so the moment we create storage account, it is taking a while to, even though it's completed, it's taking a while, like like 5 or 10 minutes to before you create the connection, the data lake connection, the link. That's why it's doing that error. But if you try after 5-10 minutes, it's going to work. So that's all the step. The moment you choose that saving, what happens is it will show you this window, and you're going to see the test 05 here. And once you click this, you will see the account and work order in our case, which we added. Okay. So you have to make note that what happens is when you establish this, when you say new link, when you create a new link, so there is, you are literally giving a permission to read your CDS data. Okay. So what happens is in that case, your CDS data, you need to be that's why you need to be a CDS service administrator to provide to facilitate that one. Okay. So that's why you're actually granting the export of your data lake service to your storage account, something like that. And also you have to make note of it, if you are new to data lake storage, the storage, the data that we are seeing here, right? So it's basically encrypted one. So there is nothing need to be bothered about the about the security standpoint. So the file system in this Azure storage is created within a folder. I know you can. It is encrypted, and and it's when it is stored in the data lake, it's encrypted, and similarly when it's read, it is decrypted. Okay, so the technology or the model that they use is called encryption at rest. So it's basically a encoding methodology that Azure is basically using to the data lake, for the data lake. Excuse me. Okay, so let me go back to the slides. So we'll see how the incremental is happening now, by the way. All right. So as we said, as we just shown in the, as we just saw earlier, like what happened when we added a new lead, which eventually went and created a lead in the data lake. This is how it works. So what happens is, when you when you create the connection, it will set up the basic CSV files, right? So which is nothing but this one. So we just added the contact, right? You can see the CSV file, right? And the next thing would be, it will take a snapshot at a certain interval of time, let's say T1 interval of time, and it will store it in the device. So it's not yet been 1 hour since we added the contact, but we can see that for account and lead, the snapshot files are already there. Okay, that's what this flow means, and this is what the interesting part is: the trickle feed, the services that has been used here. So you can see the service that's used by Microsoft to do that. Okay, so it's, for each entities we are adding it, basically it adds a metadata for that entity, and it follows, it keep tracks of what is happening. Okay, so that is what is recognizing this is what pushing the CDS updates, continuous updates. Either could be creating new or updating existing lead or any entity that matters, or deleting any record, right? So that keeps, what happens is that changes, it gets pushed to the parent one. If you remember our previous, the quick demo that we saw earlier, we added a new lead. That lead was sent to the parent CSV, and the snapshot has been taken here, right? That is what this flow means. So what happens is consumers. So what happens then next time when you do, there will be another snapshot. Okay, and again the snapshot also will have the name and the respective time, and the JSON for that, and that is what you are seeing here in this one. Okay, and if I go back, so the consumers, it could be a Power BI or it could be anything else. What they do is they get connected to this snapshots and they can start, they're building the reports or whatever services they want to do. So that's all about this architecture diagram that we are seeing here. So what happens is, why we need to do this is why we are taking snapshot and why we are doing this combination of it. As I said earlier, so this basically provides, this snapshots provides a read-only copy of data, okay, that gets updated at regular intervals by the trickle thread. So what happens is this ensures that at any given point of time, right, the consumers can reliably consume data without affecting the core operation, the core service, which is your CDS service. When you're having lots of users using your application, which is directly interacting with CDS, you're not going to disturb this kind of analytical or other services by exposing your CDS to this one, okay? Because you're directly consuming it from, now you're consuming it from data lake, not from your CDS, okay? So that is the main advantage with respect to this scenario. Other than that, it is also cheaper. The cost wise, I'll just share you the license cost for the data lake storage. Other than this, the cost wise also it's quite cheaper, okay? So, and the whole process, that's how it works, right? When you, let's go and explore the JSON files. Okay, before that, yeah. Let's go and explore the JSON files before seeing into the Power BI, how it, it typically does that. Before Power BI, we'll also see how to migrate this as a part of the solution. So let's quickly go and explore the data that's been put there. So if I open, these are all internal files that has been used by the trickle service to keep updated. Okay. So if I open the account model JSON, you're going to see the same with for the account specific information only. Oops, sorry. So it's the same thing which you saw for a complete model. Instead of that, you're going to see only the accounts here. Okay, it maintains internally to keep track of the changes. And if I go to the metadata, you can see that. So each and every field or attribute, right? So that comes in part of dynamics. Sorry, the CDS is being tracked here as well. Option set metadata and your attribute metadata and global option set and status reasons. So all those things. Okay. So make sure that trickle service is tracking your data. So that's the objective of that one. Other than this, it's quite straightforward. Okay, we saw all the structures that have been stored here. And apart from this, let me go back to the Power Apps, the CDS one. So what we can do is, as I said earlier, you can also unlink the data lake if you don't want, and you can create a new data lake as well. So, and the important thing is, you can also export this data lake configuration as part of your solution. Okay, that's also possible. So how to do that is, first you need to install a solution that's provided by Microsoft in the App Store. So if you go to the App Store and search as export to data lake, you're going to see this managed solution, which gets, we need to add this to environment. This is prerequisite to transport your data lake settings in the solution. So once you add this, you can go ahead and add a new solution, and you can just add existing, and you will see the data lake settings here. Yeah. So in that way, you will be able to. Yeah. That way, what happens is your configuration gets added in the solution. Then you can export import solution, like how you typically do it for other components in the CDS environment. Okay, people who already worked in CDS, they must be aware of that. So actually, I tried having the Power BI as well. So if I show you a quick, it could be any Power BI. This is just a sample, right? So basically, this is just to show building a Power BI or any analytics tools on the data lake directly and get the fetch the data from there. And what happens is when the moment you go and do any changes in CDS, it automatically gets pushed to the snapshot, and that gets pushed to this analytics services as well. Okay, so I tried setting up this while before the demo, but unfortunately the catch is it takes 30 minutes at least to set up the permission between, the permission to get reflected in the Power BI once you do that in the data lake. Okay, so I'll share the links for that as well. So how to set up that permission to get it from the Power BI to the data lake later. Okay, and this is the quick demo. As I said, it's quite basic stuff, but it's the recent one that Microsoft has released. It was preview earlier and just recently become the public general available as well. And apart from this, yeah, so let's quickly jump to the pricing and licenses for the data lake. So as you can see, this is a data storage prices. This just got it from, I just got it from the Microsoft licensing. I can share that URL also later. So you can see now how much it cost for the first 50 TB. You can see it's really, really cheaper. Okay. You can see how much it costs per GB, right? It's hardly like what, 1 cent, something like that. So yeah, and you can this shows the data storage and transactional prices, and then there's also one more with respect to your data read and retrieval costs, metadata as well. All right, so by the way, if you create a custom entity, again, that is also going to be that also can be added in the data lake. You can always go here and you can manage entities, and you can see a custom entity here, and that can be shown in that will be pushed to the data lake as well. Okay. All right. And yeah. So any questions so far? We're open for the questions now. Anything you want to see more, you can do that. Stefan, any questions so far?
Question for me. Just a quick one. Is this seems to be able to be sort of easily become an alternative for like the data export servers to Azure SQL?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Cool.
This is quite easier to set up, and it's cheaper as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, so Renga, I can see that you're how to sustain the CDS users' security roles while accessing the storage account, right, for Power BI. So whatever the users that we are now exposing, the consuming the data, they should have the same security role. Like typically, how you expose your data to Power BI, the same way. And anything else, please let me know, because we have plenty of time, I believe. Isn't it, Stefano?
I'm not sure if it's the same question as the last one. Are you just explaining the security rule, how you set that up?
Sorry, come again.
So you said that the user needs to have a security role. How do you set that up?
No, in CDS you set a security role, right? You don't set it separately for your data lake.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. You do have permissions and privileges to do that. I mean, like not exactly the CDS roles, but you can have a separate role assignments like this. Like, you know, for example, like in fact, to export to Power BI, this is one of the preliminary steps that to do that. Okay, you basically need to add a new, you know, assignment like this. So if you see here, you'll have all this kind of security roles. But these are all with respect to your data lake. It doesn't have doesn't, you know, directly relate to your CDS things, right? So what are the these are all gives the privilege to user to how to get or, you know, read data, stop data, as such for the storages inside this storage account basically. So to get into Power BI, to get the data from Power BI, from data lake to Power BI, so there are two things that you have to do. One thing is, you know, like you have to provide the reader and data access to the specific user, which you are using it from the Power BI as well. And you also need to give in the storage blob data owner user. Okay. So let me also see what happened now to my. Just a moment. Let me stop sharing. Just my subscription ID. Okay, anyways, let me change it later. Yeah, so you can see that, you know, if you do not have that privilege, this is the error that you're going to get. I already established the permission, but it takes 30 minutes to, you know, refresh it and get it done. Once you have this, you're going to see the data lake here, and you can just build your reports on top of that. Yeah. So anything else?
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
All right, so Stefano, if there is no more questions, then I think we can I can hand it to the next speaker, or it could be a short break. So I think I have finished it 15 minutes earlier. Was Stefano saying? No, let's play around with that meanwhile. All right, so let me. Meanwhile, you can just sort of do is, you know, we'll just delete this one and see what happens. Yeah, so if I go back to the Explorer now. You can see it from the new one. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, you can see now it has only 11 records. So that one is deleted. So it's just happening instantly. It keeps, service keep pushing the data, whatever changes that is happening in the model-driven app or your CDS environment, that whatever is comes here. Okay, and then you can also try recently we added contact, right? Let's try another contact. Maybe I can just modify this contact information. Go back to my data lake. It does not the first unit. So you can see the name is going to be reflected right there. Okay. And let me create a new one now. Maybe it should work now. The storage account that we tried earlier in the first, at the very beginning. Let's create for that now. Hopefully it should work. Let me add a You see, now it's working. So that's why I said earlier, when you add the storage account, when you try immediately, it takes a while, like give it a 5 minutes or something like that. So once you have this one, the cases is here. Okay. All right.
Hello.
Yes.
Just want to know, can we set up the time duration to sync the data?
Yes, you can set up the intervals. Let me see. Personally, I have not done that, but yeah, it's a good platform to try that too. Let me quickly, it should be here. This is the format that you specify, and then not here. Sorry for that. Anyways, I'll just check on that and come back to you offline.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Yes, we'll see that. And anything else? Like, let me see if there's any questions. Okay, if that's all, I think then let us wait for Stefano to come. come and use. There's one more question. Any limitation is number of attributes that can be synchronized. So as of now, as of now, so if you can see, all the attributes have been added. Right, I don't see any provision to choose the attributes that you wanted to select. So at the moment, so if you add no provision to choose the attribute, just all the all the attributes of the entities. And exchange rate, in the sense like, you mean at one time when the snapshot is created, something like that? You can unmute Arvind if you want.